I was on the scent of a Netherese spy when I stumbled across a satyr's camp. He made it quite clear that I was not a welcome guest. No counting on a satyr, let me tell you. I managed to withdraw right as he drew his blade. I've discovered the remains of a satyr fire pit, and will deem it both a good omen and a fine place to rest. My own fire will be small compared to the bonfires they set to dance around. Ah, the satyr tales and songs I've heard over such a blaze. Signs of poachers abound. I also see the hooved tracks of a satyr. Ah, yes, and a broken branch and a spot of blood tell me they fought. Over a felled deer, perhaps, or words taken as insults. Satyrs are as fickle as they are dangerous. My uncle once told me the best life is a balanced life. How poorly I appreciated his words at the time. But now, as a harper, I take it as central to our code. It is a life's work to master, but a fair and often awe-inspiring path all the same. A chill passes through my heart. I was entranced by a far-off song, only to realize its source was a harpy. Had I come to my senses a moment later, I might have been tortured to death, rent limb from limb. Such a beautiful song, such a horrific death. Too many in Cormyr think dryads to be evil. Nothing could be further from the truth. They're wild and free creatures, to be sure, but they are keepers of these woods and will defend their ground against huntsmen and marauding orc alike. Do not threaten them, and you may pass in peace. I know all too little about the druids in these woods, though as a harper and a hunt-silver, I dare say I should. These men and women are thick in with nature, twined like vines into these trees, as hard to spot as a mountain lion in the shade. I stumbled across the remains of an owlbear's meal today. Quite a mess. I'm happy not to meet the sharp claws and bone-breaking beak that created it. Now, this is a dangerous part of the woods. I hear what must be an owlbear somewhere in the distance. It wouldn't do to fall to an owlbear with the entire Netherese army nipping at my heels. What luck! Ha! Something new for my collection. One red dragon scale. I found it slightly scuffed, but otherwise intact in a trampled patch near the mountain. Not long after, I swear I spied the dragon itself flying far above. It's well that I stumbled on the scale, and not its owner. This tributary of the Starwater is a lovely sight. It brings back many a childhood memory. Why, I recall one particularly idyllic picnic by its banks. Tents and banners, wine and roasted game. Could I ever have dreamed that years hence I'd be stalking through these woods covered in mud and eating rustic meals prepared by my own hands? I wonder if the hermit that lived in that little hut is still about. He was known to me by many a childhood tale. One claimed he grabbed children out alone and cooked them into stew, all because he would not harm a hair of any woodland creature. A druid with an owlbear companion? I'd hardly believe the tale myself had I not seen them with my own two eyes. It seems he raised the owlbear from a cub and used a whistle to call him near and far. I stumbled across a broken wooden barrel yesterday. Then, just beyond a hedge, I found a freshly trampled path. Judging by the size and wear of this new road, many such provisions have been carried up into the mountains. To whom? For what nefarious purpose? Merely setting foot upon the Stormhorn Mountains can be an invitation to death. It may seem picturesque, but among those lofty peaks lie harpy nesting grounds, packs of winter wolves, and griffin eyries, among other perils. The mountains speak in stirring tones. There is a music that emanates from these cold, craggy rocks. But I must be ever wary lest it be the music of harpy song. There, I've managed to dispatch word of all I've learned to the harpers. Will I have such a chance again? I must learn all I can, take every opportunity, and pray reinforcements arrive before I'm in the thick of it. Damn my rotten luck. I will go hungry tonight. I was on the trail of a fine spotted doe when, just as I was set to loose my bow, down swoops a griffin to whisk my dinner into the evening sky. Though I must admit, the better hunter prevailed. I must admit that I'm not ashamed of my tracking skills tonight. Amongst a muddled trammel of heavy humanoid footprints, I could make out a half-dozen different paths leading in different directions. I've noted at least 3 different species of foot as well. Orcs, gnolls, giants, all marching as one. This bodes poorly. By the gods above, a white dragon with the sun glinting off its scales, as beautiful and dangerous as the mountains themselves. This is a vision I will not forget. I turned a bend just now to see a griffin and an ice elemental in the midst of battle. I stood frozen in awe. Not long, thank Eo. One does not wait for the outcome of such a fight and live to the morrow. Tonight I struggle to sleep. I hear the howl of winter wolves as they hunt and be hunted upon in that great and all-encompassing darkness. Orcs, giants, gnolls, marching, keeping watch, raising ramparts. I've seen it all, but what are they about? This will test my skills as both a harper and a tracker before I'm through. Through a dense bit of woods, I spied 5 hill giants building a palisade. What they lack in intelligence, they make up in strength and speed. At this rate, they'll have walled off the storm horns by first snow. A patchwork army made of gnolls, giants, orcs, making camp in these mountains. But who commands, I wonder? If it is the Netherese, as I believe, and to what end? But for a good night's sleep and a proper meal, I'm sure it would all come clear. I spied a mage of Netheril giving counsel to 4 orc captains. While these brutes build and march, what are the Netherese busy with, I wonder? A question I ask myself time and again but cannot answer. Why stage an invasion from this steep and wintry mountain wall? You could hardly start farther from the capital and still be in Cormyr. Over the course of hours and in the midst of a wretched storm, I followed 3 frost giants going from fort to fort, giving orders at each. Frost giants! The Netherese have found powerful leaders for their troops. However, there seemed to be some dissent amongst these giants. Perhaps therein lies an opening. A close call. I was spying upon a camp of orcs and giants under cover of night, when the brutes began to bicker with one another. It broke into a full-fledged brawl. Closer and closer I crept, until a giant hefted an orc and hurled him clear over my head. That was enough for me. I crept away, right past the unconscious orc. The monster tribes constantly bicker with themselves and with their betters, and that just might be their undoing. My best bet might lie with one frost giant by the name of Rongnir. I came around a corner today to see 2 gnolls huddled together. Thankfully, I was able to duck behind cover before being spotted. They spoke quietly, in fearful whimpers, about the dark powers of the Netherese. I dare say they have a point. There are far too many supplies and weapons caches in the camps I've found. Unsettling doubts trouble my waking and sleeping moments. This many supplies did not come out of nowhere. Why, it would take a separate army just to move them. Gathering an army of such numbers must have been quite the challenge. How has such a large number remained hidden? What promises were made to convince this monstrous horde to spend time in the wind, cold, and snow of the Stormhorns? I do believe myself to be a man of some ambition and skill. Nevertheless, I'm becoming downright frustrated in my attempt to uncover the heart of this Netherese plot. I'm only seeing the edges, and would give up a night's rest to learn the truth. I must learn more, and quickly. Cormyr depends on it. Today has brought me closer to my goal. I was able to capture an orc who'd strayed out alone. He confessed several key locations to me, and then his comrades drew near. Before he could make a sound, I did what I must and slit his throat. I overhear much, but not of what matters. I must redouble my efforts and take whatever risks are required. I am a harper and a hunt silver. The time has come to prove myself. Tracking the movements of orcs is not unlike tracking a deer, as I did often as a boy. I excelled at felling the hart back then. I should not waver as I play this more dangerous game now. One must move with care, move in silence, move with all one's available skill. I was forced to kill again tonight. The wretched knoll nearly snuck up on me. Does it never grow easier? The condemned in Wayloon, the Netherese upon the high road. One kill never made the next one easier to bear. Yet, bear I must. I must not shirk the task before me. These desolate heights have given me time to reflect on my past behavior. I confess, I'm not proud of all my deeds. When first I earned my harper's pin, I thought nothing of how my actions might affect my honor or my kingdom. But in this clear mountain air, my duty lies plain before me. Every skill has been put to the test, every fiber of my being strained to breaking here in the ice and snow of the Stormhorns. Though I am weary and sore, I must not waver. I must weather the storm to save my own, my beloved Cormyr. I know for certain the Netherese are in these mountains plotting war, but a growing suspicion tells me that is not all. There are hints of something secret high in the mountains, and I will discover what it is. When I was a lad, I loved to gaze upon these mountains and dream of adventures. Well, I've certainly seen the dream come true. Now, if I could but dream into being a set of cold weather boots and perhaps a good warm cloak. I'm alive to write this thanks only to strong fingers and quick wits. As I tread along the ledges near the great waterfall, a fox sprang suddenly from a bush, causing me to slip. I barely grabbed the ledge in time and avoided a much too hasty descent. I'm certain I overheard the word glacier, but what did the blighted wizard mean by it? I'm confounded. There is a glacier atop this mountain, true, but what could Netheril possibly do with a great block of ice? I've learned an answer, but to what question? Few could wander these woods and think anything was amiss. After weeks of searching, tracker that I am, I found but few precious clues as to the Netherese plot that took me here. And those clues point in only one direction: the Stormhorn Mountains that loom above me. Well then, up I go.